Parigunigun, Pariega, I saw Mian Adierman, Pari Kurzum Hirenen, at Get Ankara Milofosim, or there, Mer Mechiga, Mer Paragamnera, our Kurdish friends who are with us, and one of the panelists is Alevi Kurd. So we are going to do tonight's panel discussion all in English. My name is Jirair Tutunjian. I work on kerat.com with Dr.
Mic on?
Mike? Asus Pesa? Okay, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Clear? Okay. Here we go. We have been neighbors of the Kurds for 3,000–4,000 years, if not more. Kurds are mentioned in Sumerian tablets under different names. Assyrians have mentioned them also. They have been called Kurdi, Kurdici, and the Greeks have called them Medes. But whatever the names are, they are all Kurds, and they have been our neighbors. Yet, when I was going to school, there was nothing, absolutely nothing, about Kurds in our history textbooks. So the next time we hear about the Kurds is when Saladin became the leader of the Middle East. Lots of Armenians know that Saladin is not an Arab, he's a Kurd. But most Armenians don't know that his parents came from Armenia. They were not Armenians, they were Kurds. They had just moved from Armenia to Iraq, and that's where Saladin was born. For a couple hundred years more, there is no talk of Kurds in our history books, as far as I know. Kurds appear in our history books in the 19th century. The very bad 19th century for Armenians. When we talk about Kurds, whether it's in history books or in our novels, we associate them with looting, raping, massacres. We have associated them with the Hamidiyya brigade or regiment or army that Sultan Abdulhamid formed just to harass Armenians. And this continued up to the genocide. So we had a terrible time with the Kurds, unfortunately. That's the truth. But there were times, and there were people, there were Kurds who helped us. They saved Armenian children. They spared us. They adopted Armenian children. We don't know enough about that, and we should. Something we don't know about Kurds is that at the time of our deportation and the genocide, 700,000 Kurds were also deported within the Ottoman Empire to dismantle them, to take them away from their villages, to destroy their communities. And of those 700,000, 50% died the next couple of years. They all died. We don't know about that. In the 20s, some Armenians supported the Kurdish rebellion. I don't know the details. The panelists know more about it than I do. I'm sure we're going to hear about it tonight. Then again, silence. Only thing I know is that during Soviet era, there was a Kurdish community in Armenia. They had their own newspaper and their own radio station. And the radio station had a huge following in Turkey by Kurds because they liked what they were hearing. Now, post-collapse of Soviet Union, lots of changes in the world, lots of changes amongst Kurds, urbanization, sophistication, opening to the world, immigrating to Europe, learning more about their history and our history. And we have begun to talk. We have been holding conferences, symposia, publishing articles, publishing books, getting closer, getting to know each other, and Armenians trying to forgive and forget. I think we have done a lot past decade to get closer. The whole idea of this, tonight's event is to know how we can build bridges for our mutual benefit. It's a bit difficult because Armenians are fragmented, and so are the Kurds. I think the Kurds are more fragmented than Armenians, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that we learn something tonight. I think we have done the dance. We know what we want, and everybody knows what the Kurds want. I think it's time for concrete political action, where we can sit down and move to the next step, go beyond the talk. There have been lots of good signs. The restoration of Surp Giragos, a fantastic event. Mayor Demirbash's announcements are very positive. We have held conferences with Kurds in Istanbul. There was one just May 10th in Berlin. So we're talking. I think we are getting close to the day when our leaders, Kurdish leaders, get together and say, how do we work together on a practical plan to do something? I don't know what that is. Now, before introducing our panelists, following their presentation, there will be a Q&A where you'll be able to ask any question you want to them. And also, they will be talking and asking questions to each other. So and afterwards, Dr. Abrahamian will wrap up the evening. Now, let me introduce you to the three panelists. First, Rafi Bedrosyan, who doesn't need introduction, but yes, please. But I will say a couple of things about Rafi's biography. He was born in Istanbul and went to Armenian school there. Came here in the early 70s, went to U of T, became engineer, civil engineer, and also he attended Royal Conservatory of Music. He's a concert pianist, and he has donated the proceeds of the CD in the concert to Armenia and to Artsakh. Another thing, in addition to being an engineer and being a musician, he is also a journalist, and he often writes in Kelar, in Armenian Weekly, and elsewhere. So welcome, Rafi. Next, I'd like to introduce to you our good friend, Suleiman Guven. This past year, Suleiman and Kerat have been working together for our mutual benefit. People who read Kerat know the struggle, the campaign we have undertook regarding the Brantford Cemetery. And Suleiman has been the front man for that effort. Suleiman was born in Dersim. He came here in 1991. And soon after, he came as a refugee. Soon after, he was approached, if not blackmailed, by CSIS to report on his community. And when he denied, he refused to do it. I guess they harassed him. And it took him a long while to get his permanent residency because he would not accede to the wishes of CSIS. Ironically, in the year 2000, he was picked as one of the refugees of the year by Canada. He's a vice president of the Canadian Ethnic Press and Media Association, and he has won an award from them also. As I said, he's been our ally this past year, and it's a pleasure to introduce him. Oh, I forgot. He's also the editor of Yeni Hayat, Kurd Alevi newspaper. Our third panelist is Dr. Henry Astarjan. He's an author, medical doctor, and a lifelong follower of Armenian-Kurdish relations. One of his books is The Struggle for Kirkuk. He was born in Iraq and graduated from the Royal Medical University in 1958, and he was stationed in Iraqi Kurdistan as a medical officer. Several years later, he moved to England to continue his education, training, and also to Scotland. And he came to the States in 1966, and he's been a medical doctor since then. He has been very active politically. He has addressed 3 Kurdish parliaments in exile in Brussels, representing the Armenian case for Western Armenia. He has also addressed Kurdish groups in California and Maryland. He writes for Armenian Weekly, and occasionally for Kehar, whenever he has the time. It's a great pleasure to have him with us today. He came all the way from New Hampshire to be with us.
For the first time in my life, I am blushing.
Doesn't show. I have a second duty tonight. It's unusual. In addition to being the MC, I am also the reporter. So I have to leave the podium and sit among you and listen and learn from the 3 panelists. It should be an exciting evening. And we will report, of course, in Kevat, and I'm sure it will appear also in Yeni Hayat, the proceedings. And one last footnote, all those who follow Kevat, this past week we ran a story about the struggle I mentioned in Brantford regarding the cemetery, and which is an Alevi issue, Alevi Kurd issue. And we ran our latest story yesterday, and by this afternoon we had 600 hits, and we expect that to go up to a couple thousand before the end of the week, and it will just continue. And soon it will be picked up by other Armenian media. It just shows you that Armenians are interested in Kurdish issues, Alevi Kurdish or just pure Kurdish. So it's a good sign.